Pacers lose to the Blazers right here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but a much different game than their recent ones. A spirited fourth quarter. The Pacers almost pulled off a massive comeback. How'd they do it? Jaylen Slawson's been awesome. Taelon Peter was good. Zubats gets knocked in the head. So much to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and today I'm still in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. As you can see at these About Me lockers for Andrew Nembhard, Tyrese Haliburton, and Pascal Siakam, and the Pacers just played a game here without any of those three players, and yet down 3 late, a chance to tie with the ball against the Blazers. They don't finish the game. They lose, but a spirited comeback to get there. Saying it was a one-possession game late does not perfectly describe this game. The Pacers, of course, got waxed for much of it, but the third unit was awesome in the fourth quarter. The Pacers nearly pulled off a 22-point comeback, and importantly, I think for the entertainment value of the many fans, very big crowd here tonight, Rick Carlisle complimenting that postgame, a different game. It was not a 130-plus allowed 10-plus point blowout, which – of the Pacers' 14-game losing streak entering tonight, 7 of the games fit that bill and 3 were very close. Much closer tonight. How'd they do it? What happened to Zubats? So many notebook things to get to from a much closer game. And we'll get to all of it. And I want to start at the end, but to set the scene for how improbable and almost awesome this felt, I actually am not going to, but credit to that group that was in there late with no center, by the way. It was Jarace Walker, Kobe Brown, Taelon Peter, Cam Jones, and Jaylen Slawson, who were just fantastic. A lot of them will come up in the description of earlier portions of the game. But the Pacers were down 22 early in the fourth quarter, like 10 minutes to go in the game. It was 110, or I think it was like 110 to 88 or something thereabouts. 108-96 was the exact score in which the Pacers were down 22, right? So they were just getting – oh, that's 12. What am I saying? It was right before that. They were down 22. 108-86. There it is. Early in the fourth quarter. How did that happen? And how did the Pacers almost erase it? Well, to get to that point, the rebounding was just a disaster for the Pacers, right? Early in the game, you see Aaron Nesmith doing some fun things, bouncing around, but Donovan Clingan's first stint, 14 points, 5 rebounds. His first stint, his career high is 24 points entering the game. Denny Avdia, as he does, he's an all-star, was kicking their butts. The free throw differential was growing rapidly in the game. It finishes 26 free throws for the Blazers to 17 for the Pacers, and Rick Carlisle stopped himself from commenting on fouling and free throws postgame. Right, 4 of the Blazers' first 11 makes were assisted. They were living at the line. They were just driving hard, and then when they would miss, they would get the rebound and eventually score. Right, the Pacers' ball movement was better. Their shooting was like crisp, and that wasn't even close to enough because of how badly, just like against the Knicks, they got dominated in the possession battle. Right, the Pacers shot it pretty well from 3. Again, 44%. That was not enough in this game. They shot a 6% better than the Blazers. This is the same stuff that I talked about after the Knicks game. Once the Blazers made a few threes, they broke the game wide open. But the Pacers, 11 turnovers. The Blazers, 13. That's close. Offensive rebounds, Portland, 22. A season high allowed for the Pacers, just 9 for the Pacers. So that's a huge shot difference. 10 more shots and 9 more free throws for the Blazers, with Clingan kicking their butt to the point that the Pacers went double big. Huff and Zubats together for the first time. It was Jackson, Peter, Walker, Huff, and Zubats, right? They were trying anything to get better rebounding and things like that, even with roughly even shooting percentages in the middle of the second quarter. The offensive glass was swinging it hard for the Blazers, who were plus 16 on the glass at halftime. And Alex Golden tweeted this, and I checked in. It was absolutely right. They had more offensive rebounds at that point than the Pacers had total rebounds. It was their highest scoring first half of the season. I'm not even saying this is some excuse. It's a fact. Clingan leads the league in offensive rebounds. You would hope, if you're the Pacers, that Zubats could neutralize some of that, or better defense could do more. The team described postgame that a lot of this was because they'd have a breakdown on the perimeter, so that player would have a free run to the rim. So there's defensive rotation, so Zubats isn't by Clingan, or all sorts of guys are out of position. It's harder to box out. That's all true, but this wasn't anything new. They've had bad possession battle games. They were exhausted from their 5th game in 7 nights. I mean, TJ McConnell had a mental lapse, which he never does. He just threw the ball right to a Portland player on a baseline out-of-bounds play. Right. So 5 minutes into this podcast, I've described a terrible Pacers performance. And it was. Again, they were down 22 early in the fourth quarter. They looked dead. And it looked like it was going to be the same game again, where the Blazers score 130 plus. The Pacers score somewhere like 115, and they lose the game again. And then garbage time became not garbage time. What a fun close to this game from guys who deserve a ton of flowers for the way this went. Jay Huff comes in with 10:44 to go. Kobe Brown comes in with 10:22 to go. And then just slowly but surely this lineup forms. Out goes Ben Shepherd, Quentin Jackson, and Jay Huff with 7:15 to go. In comes Taelon Peter, Cam Jones, and Jarace Walker, basically setting the scene for what closing time was with Slawson already on the floor. With that 7:15 mark to go, it was over. It was 115-98 in favor of the Blazers. That game should be over. And then it was a 3-point game with 2 minutes to go. That group did just about everything well. And you get a lot of comments when this kind of stuff happens from people who are like, well, the other team wasn't trying anymore, or it was already decided. Well, I dare you to go look who was on the floor for the Blazers the whole fourth quarter. Denny was playing. Jeremy Grant was playing. Drew Holiday was playing. Toumani Camara was on the floor. These are good players. And if they're not trying, that's bad. That reflects poorly on them and on these Pacers players. Immediately after coming in, Taelon Peter for 3 on an assist from Jaylen Slawson. And that duo was the face of this. Taelon Peter with a running alley-oop dunk from Cam Jones. We'll talk about that play in a second. Jarace Walker hits a 3. All of a sudden you go, they're down 10. They could do this. And they just kept going. Slawson floater. Taelon Peter layup. Slawson free throw. Taelon Peter for 3. Portland calls timeout. Doesn't help. Kobe Brown for 3. The Pacers had the ball with a minute and a half to go, down 3. Like, they had a real chance to tie this game or make it interesting. And it's a moment like that maybe one person is thinking this. I don't think anybody thought this in this particular game or moment. A lot of times there's at least a debate. Well, gosh, do you go back to your best guys, right? You're down 3. Do you put Aaron Nesmith on the floor? Let him take a 3. Do you put Ben Shepherd on the floor? Do you put Jay Huff on the floor? All right, good shooters for their position. Try to get a 3. Rick Carlisle does what I thought he would do, given the history of him. He left the group on the floor that had made the comeback, and they run this play, and Jarace Walker cuts to the rim, and he's open, and he gets it, and he turns, and it's not an easy layup, but it's a makeable shot, and he just misses it, and the Blazers hit a 3 on the other end in the corner. That effectively ended the game, but that was like a minute to go at that point. What a massive, massive effort from that late group who just were awesome. Again, they were down 17 with 7 minutes to go, and it was Cam Jones, who had not played yet in the game, Taelon Peter, who had barely played in the game, Kobe Brown and Jaylen Slawson, who had played a healthy amount, but one of them was de facto the center, and Jarace Walker. That was the group of 5. They did not have a center on the floor. Zubats got hurt. Huff had played a healthy amount in the game and was kind of ineffective, and it worked. They were great. They all played connected, spirited basketball, and with a group like that, I always wonder, I don't think this is true of any of these players, but you generally wonder late in a season with players who are being evaluated if they're trying to prove something. Like, you could very easily, Jaylen Slawson had 17 points in this game, but he just kind of naturally did it. You always wonder if a guy gets that chance, he's going, I'm going to try to get mine, get some stats, prove what I am, keep my career going. These guys played connected basketball on both ends of the floor. Good ball movement, good defense, turning defense into offense. And the togetherness really clicked. And for a team that was on the dying end of a 5-7 nights before 2 days off, if they had folded, everybody would have got it. They stink. They've lost 15 in a row. It was fun and exciting stuff from that end of game group who were just making threes. And then the transition play I mentioned earlier between Cam Jones and Taelon Peter was awesome. Back and forth passing, Cam lobbing it up for a Taelon Peter dunk. You hadn't seen that kind of pop and athleticism from him since college. They were defending pretty well without a center on the floor. Like, they played like a real team and not auditioning players. And so I don't know what to make of that in terms of what it means long-term for these players, right? They are kind of all auditioning for roles, contracts, spot on next year's team, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to try to define it specifically right now, but they really battled, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. And at least for once, in a season full of trying to learn something was learned about the inspiration level of those players and their ability to play as a team. And I think specifically, I'll get to specific notes on these guys coming up, but if you had to take away a big thing from this, I think it's the same thing that I talked about with Taelon Peter after DC, but it kind of applies to Jaylen Slawson too. They have gotten way better at playing through their mistakes. Rick Carlisle called that out post-game. I remember talking with Taelon Peter about that in DC. Taelon Peter took a 3 that got blocked. A lot of young guys, their confidence is rattled. They're not taking another 3 if that happens. And he kept playing. He kept playing very well, 10 points. Jaylen Slawson, I'll talk about this when I talk about him. His first 2 shots this game were hideous, not even close. And he still had an awesome game, maybe his career best game. I mean, almost certainly his career best game, right? Like, that kind of confidence and push is needed. Slawson, especially since he's so new and fresh, it's kind of all new thoughts, but he keeps talking about how he thinks a lot of his career season is because of the Pacers system and how well he fits in it. I think he's clearly showing that once again. And so credit to those two-way guys. They were the guys on the podium after the game, and they deserved it. It was like unquestioned, like, yep, that makes sense to me. Nobody else really exceeded expectations or like was the obvious story of the game. They deserve a ton of credit for that. That late group was very exciting, and it was the first real good thing from someone being evaluated over an extended stretch, I would say, in a long time. So credit to that group for fighting. Credit to the Pacers for making this game interesting, their first clutch game in a while, in a real competitive game. So much I still want to talk about. Jaylen Slauson's full performance. He was terrific. Ivica Zubats up and down, I would say, and getting absolutely clocked in the head. I saw the nod on his head when I talked to him after the game. It's fairly huge. And a lot of other guys in the notebook coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, let me very quickly talk to you about Wayfair. Spring is the perfect time to refresh your space and make your home better for you. Whether it's updating a room, addressing some outdoor furniture, or finally organizing that cluttered corner, it's a great chance to bring a fresh look into your home. That is where Wayfair comes in. From furniture and decor to organization solutions and outdoor essentials, Wayfair makes it easy to find pieces that match your style and your budget. Many people like shopping on Wayfair because the process is so simple. You can filter by size and price. You can find exactly what works for your space. Thousands of reviews make it easy to shop with confidence and options. Like easy assembly and installation make the whole experience smooth from order to setup. Whether it's a new desk for a home office, some storage solutions, or outdoor pieces for the spring, it's easy to find something that fits your style and your daily routine for furniture, decor, and essentials that fit your unique style and budget. Head to Wayfair.com right now. Shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And we're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen today and every single day. Check out Mike Richmond on Locked On Blazers for your second listen. He'll talk about Kling Kong being amazing for the Blazers in this game. Obvious continued really good season, and Portland pushing through a crappy part of their schedule. They're in 9th now. Could they get to 8th? Are they going to host the play-in game? What's up for the Blazers, who have certainly pick protection things to consider for the rest of their season as well? And also check out the Everydayer Club. You can join now. Really hurry today. If you use the code MARCH, you can get your first month for free. Also, if you sign up before the NCAA tournament tips off on Thursday, so really hustle if you're listening in the morning, you can compete against lots of people in our men's and women's bracket pools on Discord. Winner gets $100 in Locked On merch. How about that? As a member of the club, you also get an ad-free version of Locked On Pacers or whatever show you sign up for. Again, it's all free for a month with the code MARCH, but you can sign up at lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Okay, let's keep going. Pacers, Blazers. I talked about the end of bench guys. I'll talk about some of them as individuals here, but let's keep going on Zubats. He's been the biggest story for the Pacers since he started playing. This was his 5th game. He still only has one game playing with more than one of Nesmith, Nembhard, or Siakam. He's obviously never played with 43, whose jersey is right behind me, but he has played once with Nembhard, twice, the Knicks game and the Suns game, but Nesmith didn't play against the Suns. So that Knicks game in Indy is still the only time he's played with, the only time 3 of those guys have played together. No Nembhard tonight. So he's still kind of working through, okay, new lineup tonight, new lineup this night, and that really relates to me when it comes to defense. He talked about like adjusting to the defense because he's been put in a lot of pick and rolls, and it's just kind of gone okay to me so far. He was very good as a pick and roll defender and drop coverage, being a big presence with the Clippers. I think he will get better at this. And I keep citing this. Miles Turner last year, I thought Miles Turner last year was better on defense than he was the year before, or really the 2 years before. And I kind of asked him about it at one point last season, and he mentioned, and I'm gonna do this again later in this episode, so I'm gonna explain this now. A lot of times players say things to me and they really stick with me for no reason. Like I might just be overthinking this. And Turner's sentence here did, but he said something that really helped him was he got better defensive chemistry with other players, particularly in guarding pick and rolls, Nembhard, Nesmith, et cetera. That'll happen for Zubats eventually, especially playing other guys. Think about Pascal Siakam's first defensive games with the Pacers. They were not particularly good. Now he's one of the team's best defenders, right? So I don't have concern over this yet, but this was not a great defensive game for him. And he even called himself out for that when we talked to him at his locker after the game. He's just putting a lot of stuff. The rebounding has been not at the level I thought it would be. Twice against the Knicks and this game against the Blazers, where it's just like the other player's tall player is giving him problems. And then he still does some. So there's still some things that I think are very encouraging, right? For example, this happened 2 games in a row now where he has gotten enough space to dunk with power and drawn a foul for an and one. And with the way the Pacers play, they obviously play with a lot of force. They take pride in that. They use that phrase all the time. Their forceful, aggressive defense was like a hallmark of their playoff success last year, but they're more of a tempo team. I think everybody would agree with that. And when you see a guy like that, whose power is defining, especially in a lot of plays where he just like goes through a defender and slams it down, it really stands out, just like the juxtaposition comparing him to the rest of the team. And he deserves a lot of credit for having these powerful dunks every single game. He had one in the first half of this game, but he was also missing some of these hook shot bunnies again, right? And that's something that I think has been surprising. If you go and look at his stats, he's been, 0 to 4 feet, 70% year after year after year, and he's at 50% for the Pacers entering this game. And I think he got it better going in the second half before he got hurt. He finishes 7 for 18. No doubt his history says he's going to make those shots eventually. All of them feel short right now. They hit the front of the rim and then bounce out the back. Maybe that's conditioning. Maybe that's injury. Maybe that's something else. But that is a shot he's made his whole career and isn't making right now. You can see the frustration for him in these games when it's happening. He also talked about that after the game. Like, I've seen a lot of fan commentary about things he's struggling at. To be clear, he is struggling at those things. But he, without being asked, like a lot of times guys will struggle with something and you have to be like, what'd you think of your defense or your pick and rolls or whatever? You don't have to ask Zubats. He has been very self-critical. He's kind of like Cam Jones in that way about like, I haven't made the bunnies I can make. I haven't defended the pick and roll the way I want. And that's encouraging, at least for his own ability to, identify these things and get better at it. And yet, gorgeous pass to a cutting Ben Shepherd. Then the screening is just magnificent, man. Like, this is the thing that has been as better than advertised to me. Just crushes the defender. Quentin Jackson, wide open jumper. And then my favorite one, he sets a screen. I think it was Sidy Cissoko, who's the defender, and Aaron Nesmith is the ball handler. And Nesmith comes around the screen on an out of bounds play, and he screens Cissoko. And the screen was so strong, and Cissoko trying to get around it kind of stumbles. But Aaron Nesmith catches the ball open, shoots, misses, and then runs it down for an offensive rebound all before his defender made it back to him on the play. And after getting the rebound, he's able to swing it. I can't remember who scored, but the Pacers did score on the play and won. It's like, that is significant that he is that good of a screener. I think it's not a coincidence that McConnell's starting, playing with him more than, he hadn't played with him at all this season, but has contributed to him having his first 2 10-assist games of the season in near succession. He's just gotten more room to kind of drive downhill. And for a guy that has struggled to create as much separation this season, McConnell, that has been significant to me as well. So you're really seeing the screening pop for Zubats. And I'll say this too, people who have watched him more than me, and he started making shots in the second half, but there's this Clippers account called Zoom Use. There's a Muse account for everybody. And they're obviously big fans of the players, so they're, they understand their game at least pretty well, maybe at times excusing them, but this was not an excuse at all. It was the opposite. He or she literally posted mid-game and said that his touch felt cooked in this game, right? That's been an issue so far, but it's noteworthy to people who've watched him all the time how much those little hook shots around the basket shots are not going in, and history says that they will. So to me, so far, 5 games in now for Zubats, I believe, with the Pacers. Passing, better than I expected, right? And that's very important for what he's going to be asked to do with the Pacers in terms of swinging it side to side, setting screens, handoffs, all that. Screening, awesome, right? Touch around the basket, not as good. Defense in the pick and roll, not quite as good. Rebounding, definitely not as good. So we'll see what that all levels out to when the season ends, when he plays with Siakam. Carlisle said before the game tonight that he still thinks Siakam is, of course, going to return this season at some point. But all very noteworthy is the evaluation of Zubats continues. I think Eddie Garrison, who's going to be my guest tomorrow, and I will talk about our impressions from his first 5 games, among many other topics along the way. But that was very enjoyable. The other player that deserves, 2 really do, but the other player that deserves a lot of time right now is Jaylen Slawson, who is, where did this come? Not where did this come from? Like, he was in the NBA before. It's not like he's some unknown person, but he starts this game. I mentioned this earlier, and I feel bad started with negatives. Q's very good. He takes a layup to start the game. Hideous. Doesn't hit the rim. Hideous finish, right? Over contact. Couldn't get it to go. Then he takes a 3. That was also way off. And it's like, oh, man, your airball 3 miss layup that bad. You're worried it's going to be a tough night. But he, like Peter, plays through mistakes, has the confidence, and he has to. He's fighting for like his literal NBA future. He's going to be a free agent in the summer. 37 minutes for Slawson. Take away those first 2 misses. He was 6 for 8, 2 for 3 from deep, and made all 3 of his free throws. So he was 6 for 10 for the game, and 2 for 4 from deep in general. 7 rebounds. So I got a nose for those. 4 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. 4 blocks. He blocked Giannis twice when he started and defended him in Milwaukee. No turnovers, 17 points for Jaylen Slawson, 1 off of the team high, which Zubats had. He was very impressive with his production, and it's just been quite the week where they play Milwaukee on Sunday, And he explained this whole process to us post-game. They walk in for their team meeting in the morning. It's an earlier game, so it's an earlier meeting. He walks in, and he sees on the whiteboard that he's going to be guarding Giannis. Like, that's the matchup. And, it's his first ever start. What? And he did okay. He battled as well as he could. He had the blocks. I mean, Giannis had an amazing game, but I don't think he did any worse or better than anyone else I've seen besides Sabonis, Thad Young, and Ben Mathurin in my time covering the Pacers. And then he's had productive game sense in terms of like good heady plays. Apparently Mike Breen, I watched the Pacers broadcast of Pacers Knicks, but apparently Mike Breen was impressed by him in Pacers Knicks on that broadcast. And so in this game, he starts off with those 2 ugly misses and then was just awesome the rest of the game. The block timing is fantastic. He's going for the blocks a little bit. One time he failed to find his man after the block, which led to a basket for Portland after an offensive rebound. But he's going for it, man. And he's, for a guy who was not on an NBA team last season at all and didn't get to one until March of this year, you always wonder when a guy says, "Oh, I'm playing better because I fit." Like, what's that going to mean when you're with different players? He got called up from the G League to the NBA, and the system has been perfect for him. He still looks really good for the Pacers so far. He's actually able to – his shot fake is getting guys in the air, and he's able to get past them into space, and he's making good decisions on the move. He's not locked into one play, and that's what Rick Carlisle said that I thought kind of stood out to me is a player like him who is really trying to prove himself but has versatility, decent passer, good enough scorer, has size. A lot of times when they're out there playing a lot like this, they'll really be thinking a lot. What should I do? What's the best play to make here? Because they want to look versatile. They want to look skilled in many ways. And that thinking really bogs them down. It makes them look less effective, right? So to their credit, that all is totally reasonable. And he does not look like that. He has still been quick with everything so far and defending pretty well and just overall being a productive player. It's early in his time with the Pacers, but very encouraging start to Jaylen Slauson's 2A experience. If anyone is actually interested in me talking about his contractual future, I could do that. I mean, it's an early, there's 8 games left he can play for the Pacers, and he's a 2A player, but really impressive start. Really, really nice performance, and he's had stacked some good ones all in a row. Credit to him for battling his way back from the G League to doing this, similar to Tony Bradley last year, fighting through the G and then becoming important for the Pacers. So we'll see what this amounts to. He can play 8 more games this season. The Pacers have 12 more, so he's going to be out for 4 games. But when he's played so far, he's been effective. He's shown off the size. He's been efficient enough with the shots. He's had some defensive power and pop. His size is impressive. Really nice Jaylen Slawson game. And so many more guys to get to. A little bit. Aaron Nesmith, Taelon Peter, Cam Jones. I don't want to over-index on one Cam Jones thing, but I'm probably going to. Jay Huff did a hilariously silly thing in this game. So much more to get to close out today's Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, we got to talk about 2 great groups of people. First up is ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone who's in network, nearby, and has availability, but you also want a doctor who listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly. That kind of doctor exists. Finding them is easy with ZocDoc, a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find somebody you love without the hassle. Talking about booking in-network appointments, more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering over 200 specialties. If you put off doctor's appointments longer than you should, ZocDoc will help you to make the process simple. Search by specialty or symptoms. You can get real-time availability and book instantly. No phone calls, no waiting on hold. You can also read verified patient reviews so you feel confident choosing a doctor you like. Whether you want to go in person or a video visit, ZocDoc makes it easy either way. So stop putting off those appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. And we also have to talk quickly about 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There is something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. I've got my eye on my number 1 pick for the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft, going back to the one I've always been picking and telling you guys about. Cannot wait to try the cherry. Bold cherry, candy-style flavor, sweet with a light tart edge, classic red fruit profile, bright, punchy taste, smooth and easy to recognize, clean, all slightly tangy finish, but grape, berry, fruity rainbow, confetti craze, so many fun new flavors coming for 5 Hour Energy, and their shots will give you a boost with 0 sugar. So many upcoming flavor innovations planned. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. And we are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. For your second listen, The Grizzlies beat the Denver Nuggets. How huge for the Pacers is that? The Pelicans beat the Clippers. You can probably forget about those teams in the inverse standings because of those wins. But if you want to hear about how those teams are doing it, Locked On Pelicans with Jake Madison, Locked On Grizzlies with Joe and DeMichael is the place for you. Also, they're cleaning the arena right next to me. You might be hearing machines coming by quite loudly. 4 players that I want to talk about to close this one out. One is Taelon Peter, and I'm going to combine him and Cam Jones for a second. But Taelon Peter, very good. I already mentioned Rick Carlisle talking about him continuing to shoot after having a 3 blocked, but he had some athletic pop we haven't seen in a while with that dunk. Made 2 threes, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 rebounds, 10 points, plus 5. He just looks very comfortable, right? And he's gotten more real minutes, like in the rotation in the second quarter of late, and not just garbage time stuff. I think that's been meaningful, and he has shown a lot of growth. I thought he looked kind of like awkward and feeling his way out in the middle of the season. Not to say that he looked bad. It just wasn't always good. And, you could tell his spots were kind of coming here or there. In some games, he looked great. And he made a bunch of threes. In some games, he looked really uncomfortable. I think now he looks way more comfortable. And I think, like I already mentioned, him having some freedom mentally to play through mistakes has really helped him kind of pop and figure out his place on this team and his place in the NBA. He has, I think, 9 more games to continue to feel that out and show improvement. But he was a key part of that late game stretch. He took a tough 3, like kind of in semi-transition, and just drilled it. Really important shot. Really enjoyable to see him playing better. And a key juxtaposition, I'm not even saying this to like say Cam Jones played terrible or anything like that. He did miss both of his shots, but he had 2 assists. He defended well enough. They won his minutes by 9. Right. But comparing 2 plays, and they were different situations. This might not be fair. Cam Jones is trying to create space. He's being guarded by Robert Williams, big center. And he drives and he gets like a half step on it, but not enough. And he tries to shoot and he can't. He gets blocked. He could not create enough space to get past Robert Williams on that drive. Taelon Peter has Robert Williams on him, not much longer, sets up a drive, hits a perfect hezzy, goes right by him and scoring at the cup. And I mentioned with Miles Turner's quote earlier that there are some random things that happen that for some reason just stick with me forever when covering the Pacers. And I cite them forever and I never forget them. I just don't, those plays just stuck with me so much. How much easier it was for one player to get by him than the other. Cam Jones has shown way more ball handling and creation craft than Taelon Peter in the NBA, but the juxtaposition of those 2 plays against the same defender in the same quarter, just whoa, but really impressive stuff from Taelon Peter. Him and Jaylen Slawson, 2 two-way guys, really popping down the stretch for the Pacers in this game. Quentin Jackson, who's been in and out recently. I don't think some of his games have been great, but he was effective in this game. 5 of 7 from the field, made 3 free throws, 6 assists, 13 points. They played to an even draw in his 20 minutes. He played better. And of note, as we evaluate his kind of up and down play recently, he's had some less effective games since signing his contract. He had his right calf wrapped for this game, had a sleeve on it. That's not a thing for him. So clearly that calf is bothering him enough that in game he is dealing with it with something. And that is always noteworthy for guys because any muscle injury is a big effect. But he's still trying to prove himself. His contract, well, he got one, is still only partially guaranteed for next season. Aaron Nesmith continues this run of like, there he is. There's Aaron Nesmith. Couldn't make threes in this game, but 5 for 8 on 2s, 2 free throws on his way to 15 points. He's finally figuring out how to get his space going. His jumper looks way more pure. He's more confident. I've officially seen enough personally. If you remember when I did my Veteran Goals podcast a couple weeks ago, my Nesmith one was just like 3 games, 2 or 3 games where he's really got it going inside the arc, shows some real toward the rim pop. We all know he can shoot, even though he hasn't this year. He's now had those. He's now had those 3 games. So I think he's going to keep playing because he wants to get some rhythm going into next season after being in and out so much this year. But Aaron Nesmith has officially achieved like, yeah, okay. He just had a really crummy injury rhythm year. And when he played a lot of games in a row, he actually was still the pretty good player that we've all seen. A gorgeous low man rotationally in the game to stop clinging. And he really got the game rocking. He was really benefiting from some of those Zubats screens. Last play that was kind of hilarious, but kind of weird. Jay Huff takes off. He's behind the 3-point line. He fakes. He gets space. He drives. He gets in the lane, and he's too far for a backwards dunk, so he tries a spinning, pirouetting backwards layup thing. It was a hideous shot. It wasn't even close. And it's one of those, like, only Jay Huff is going to try that things because it was backwards, and it's what he does, and it's a signature thing that he can finish. But he was not close on that one. It looked very funny. He still had 10 points, and I don't think made a 3 on his way to 10 points. He made 1 3 on his way to 10 points. And that is Pacers Blazers. Pacers 15-55. They've played 70 of their 82. They have lost 15 in a row. Tomorrow, Eddie Garrison's going to join. We're going to talk some Zubats, some Jaylen Slawson, some losing streak, and much more before the Pacers get back on the road this weekend. Thank you all so much for listening today. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East, this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Back tomorrow, talk more Pacers. Telling everybody have a wonderful day.